Hey guys, it's Shadowswalm here, and I wanted to give my thoughts, and I know everybody else is giving their thoughts as well, about the classic servers being announced over at, during BlizzCon. I like the idea. I'm personally not going to go to a classic server, because I played classic. I've been playing this game since it was in closed alpha, back in 2002, 2003. So, I have no intentions of going back to vanilla, and I hear people talking about, oh, well, what was the classic experience really like? I hope they keep this thing and that thing. I hope they keep auto-looting in there. I hope they fix that loot bug that was in vanilla. I hope they fix this and fix that. Me personally, I don't, because then I can, if I do go to a classic server, I can see exactly how classic they really made it. And by how classic they make it, it's going to be either very, very good or very, very bad. And I'm still going to laugh either way, because if it's very, very good, that means they really just toned everything down and nerfed how hard it was from back in vanilla. If it's really, really bad, that means, personally to me, it's good because they brought all the old stuff back. Meaning, there's no dungeon finder, there's no meeting stone to summon your allies at. There's nothing like that. There's just, oh, you're sitting in Orgrimmar or Ironforge trying to get a group for Ragefire Chasm for 45 minutes, or for Dire Maul or Moradin. And then, oh, you run out of quests at, level 50, and you gotta figure out what to do from 50 to 60 or 55 to 60, like many of us back in the day had to do. If they make it as vanilla as they can and take out all the new stuff, there's some stuff I hope they would keep in. Like, there's no reason they can't keep the new character models, because that's just that's just quality of life. That's not going to impact gameplay. But I want them to bring back the original quest chains, all the original everything, the original difficulty of the game, and helping Shaman get their, what is it, like their class quest helm. I miss class quest for warriors, shamans, hunters, paladins, priests, warlocks. Some of the best memories people have are, if they were warlock, getting their level 40 mount, and getting their level 60 mount, getting their epic mount at level 60 for free, but having to do a bunch of quests to go get it, and feeling like they earned it. And druids, the different form quests they had to do for bear form and kitty form and this form and that form, There were just so many forms you had to do quests for. So many things you had to do quests for. If you were warrior, you had to do quests for berserker stance and defensive stance. They were both pretty easy once you got the hang of it, but it took you a little bit. Warlocks, you had to do quests for all of your pets. Hunters, you had to tame your pets. I mean, not like you do now. You still have to tame them, but you also had to feed your pets. You had to get ammunition. You had to make sure you had the food that your pet liked in your bag, or they wouldn't do enough damage and would be a hindrance to you. You'd run out of mana in combat, and you'd have to try and just sit there and auto-attack for a little bit to regenerate mana as a hunter. There was no energy as a hunter, or focus. There was no, oh, your pet just does the maximum damage. No, each pet did a different thing. Cats were, the damage choice pets, because they attacked the fastest, they did the most damage per second. Boars and turtles were tank pets, and gorillas were tank pets. There was a pet for every occasion. Just, I want it to be as vanilla as possible, and I have a feeling they're going to introduce stuff like the group finder onto those classic servers, and that wasn't classic. Classic meant you were sitting in Orgrimmar or Ironforge trying to get that group for half an hour, 45 minutes for Dire Maul North, doing a king run, and then having somebody botch it, and you'd lose out on some loot. Or, getting quests for, I don't know, let's say Ragefire Chasm as Horde, and you weren't able to find a group for a day and a half because nobody was at that point yet of a quest chain, or nobody was of level to go in Ragefire Chasm. and you needed almost a full raid to go into Upper Blackrock Spire and Lower Blackrock Spire. You had to farm resistance gear. You had to get groups at level 60 to go into Dire Maul and get some fire resistance gear. You had to wear, armor that wasn't for your class. Like, I remember vividly having to wear leather resistance, or leather gear that was fire resistance and, frost resistance and nature resist. The fire was for Molten Core, Blackwing Lair, and the nature that I got from Martin was for, AQ 20 and AQ 40. I remember having to farm 700, 800 gold for my mount and training back at level 60. I remember not having quests to do from 55 to 60. I remember farming Tyr's Hand for a day and a half to 2 days. That would be my weekend. Farming for 7 to 8 hours straight just to get the gold to have to repair back in vanilla during my raid. And then if my gear broke, I would have, 2 other weapons, 2, 3 other weapons, and another full set of gear, or 2 or 3 in my bags, just so I can keep raiding and not be a hindrance. I became a loot hoarder in that way because there were times where you had to run out of the instance, run to town, repair, run back. There was no repair hammer, there was nothing like that. There was no repair mount. You had to run back to town, repair, run back, and hopefully be back before break was over if your raid did a break. So I want that same experience that I had back in vanilla of farming my own reagents, farming the gold for my repairs, and they were very hefty repairs because, Clothy might spend 6-7 gold a night, whereas Plateware, like a warrior, he may still be wearing a piece of mail because it gave him strength and gave him agility, which gave him crit, or may have increased his two-hand weapon damage, or may have increased his sword skill by 2 or something like that. I remember wearing stuff that wasn't plate, but wanting to wear plate because it made me more durable as a warrior. I remember all of that. I remember not having a pallet in my raids. I remember my priests complaining about not having the candles to give everybody but the tanks, prayer fortitude, because it costs reagents for the priests to cast, their buffs. I remember not having to worry about any of that but my own food buff, and I remember fishing my own fish to give to the other casters in the raid. Mind you, I was a warrior. I didn't have any resource other than rage like I do now, but I fished a whole bunch of mackerel, cooked it myself, and then gave it to our casters because it gave them mana per 5 regen in combat. That consisted of a good hour and a half to 2 hours farming out in Theralos. That was my day some days. If I fished them food and everything, they would help chip in for my repairs, because that was it. I remember helping my hunter buddy get, his Rock Delar. I remember helping him get his Ancient Dragon Sinew for his quiver. I remember helping my shaman friend get his, Helm of 10 Storms, which was his shaman class helm from Scholomance. I remember all the pulls I had to do back in the day as a tank inside of those 5-mans, but it also took me 45 minutes to 2 hours to get a group for those 5-mans. So I want that sort of experience if they bring back the classic servers. No cross-realm stuff. Everything's got to be on your realm. If you have an they're gonna have auction houses because that's been in the game since vanilla, but make it city, like the auction house in Orgrimmar only is for Orgrimmar, and it was only on your server. There's no cross-realm stuff that was not introduced in vanilla. There was no meeting stones in vanilla. There was none of that. You had to help your warlocks farm. I want that sort of experience if they bring it back. If they do, great. If they don't, then you're getting a watered-down version of what vanilla used to be. If they, like I said, if they give you new character models, great, fantastic. That does not impact the gameplay whatsoever. But if they keep the flight paths like they were back in vanilla, where you waited like 20 minutes to try and get from Orgrimmar to Thunderbluff, where I'm at now on my warrior, then that's perfect, because that's the vanilla experience. I remember people back in vanilla not having flight paths and having to run because they didn't have the gold for mounts back in vanilla, because mounts and the training were very expensive. Every time a hunter got a new pet, they had to go train that new pet, and again, they had to make sure that they had the food for that pet, so that way that pet did the most damage it could. You know, they had warlocks, they had to do quests to get their mount and to get their pets. Paladins had to do quests to get their mounts. You know, I want all of that back in the game if they go to Classic. Classic to me means all of that means farming your nature resistance, your fire resistance, your shadow and frost resistance, doing your attunement quests. I know so many people that go to those vanilla servers. Trust me, I was on a private server for a while. I know how many people failed at doing the Molten Core fire run, the jump run, to get attuned from Blackrock Depths. You gotta get a quest to get attuned to Molten Core, and there's a way to do it with minimal killing and minimal deaths on everybody's part if you knew how to lava jump. And I remember teaching people back in vanilla how to lava jump, and getting one of my warlock buddies 60-70 soul shards just so we can summon people at the, get them the quest in front of Molten Core, or where Molten Core was, or how you got into Molten Core rather, through the window, getting people the quest from the guide there, and then me and my buddies would lava jump our way through, and then just summon people one by one inside of Blackrock Depths into Blackrock Depths, and get them right there at the stone that they needed to collect the ingredient from, bring it, and then they'd run inside a Molten Core because the entrance was right there inside of the raid, or inside of the 5-man, get them the item they need, they'd run inside of the raid, run back out, and be right at the quest giver. I remember helping people get attuned to Blackwing Lair, how many people were lost on how to do that, how many people were lost on getting to Anexia's lair, how many people were just lost on everything in general, because back in vanilla nobody knew anything. And nobody still knows how you got attuned to Molten Core other than the select few of us that played back in vanilla and remember those experiences, and those experiences never leave you. Like I said, the lava jump, not many people knew about it until 90 to 200 people on my server got attuned thanks to me and my friends, and we made enough gold to go ahead and get our mounts back at level 60, get our mounts, and we were the first ones on the server with 100% movement speed mounts. So that was awesome. That lava jump alone paid for my mounts and everything. So if people want the classic server, I hope it's that, and not just, oh yeah, we're gonna give you the dungeon finder too, and auto looting and this thing, and you don't have to worry about the attunements. No. That was not classic. Classic was farming Tyr's hand for hours on end, trying to get from either 50 to 60, or farming Tyr's hand on hours, for hours on end, trying to get gold for your repairs for the next raid, and fishing and doing herbalism and getting crafting material for that neck towards your legendary hammer or something like that if you were a warrior, whatever. So if people want classic, I hope Blizzard gives it to them and gives them the proper vanilla experience of attunements and reputations. And when Naxxramas comes around, I hope people are ready to fork over a lot of gold to blacksmiths and to leatherworkers to create shadow resistance and frost resistance gear, because those are the only two professions that you can get that gear from, were blacksmiths and leatherworkers. Also tailors, because it was crafted. But yeah, I hope Blizzard does classic the correct way, and again, quality of life changes like the new models and how the world, the new textures, that doesn't affect anything. But I want that classic experience of people not being able to level from 50 to 60 with quests. Running dry on quests by level 55 and having to farm for, days or weeks to get from 50 to 60. I want people to go through that same struggle I went through back in the day, because that was the vanilla experience that I remember, and have to farm their gold for their reagents and everything else. Shamans needed onks to res themselves during combat, and paladins needed candles, I believe, to give buffs that only lasted like 5 or 10 minutes, and priests lasted half an hour, and rogues combat or poisons ran out in combat, and hunters ran out of ammunition during a raid. I want all of that back in the game, so that way people can stop, oh, I want classic, because if you get classic in that aspect, you're gonna see how much it sucked, and how much better the game is now. But that's it, guys. I need to get going. It's been fun. My name has been Shadowswolm. Let me know what you guys think, and what you guys, if you guys played during vanilla, what your experiences were back in vanilla. My best experience, and I will not forget this, was pulling the threat from my main tank back in vanilla. We had just killed Razorgore. We had spent almost a week and a half, 2 weeks straight of just wiping on Razorgore. Razorgore finally died. I spent all of my DKP on the Untamed Blade. I got the Untamed Blade. I was on my warrior. I was undead at the time because I liked undead. Will of the Forsaken and Cannibalism were OP. Plus, everything else in PvP was OP. And, I remember putting Crusader on it right then and there because I had the mats. I think it was 8 large Brilliant Shards and 2 Crusader Orbs. I believe those were the mats, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, we go to Valstrez the Corrupt, and I'm in a group with Shaman. I have all fire resistance gear on. Shaman drops a totem. I inspect his arms. I have arms specialization, or the sword skill specialization proc for me, and Wind Fury just proc off of each other, to where I hit the boss about 8 to 10 times, back to back to back to back to back to back to back. Proc Crusader 2 times, proc the Untamed Blades weapon proc twice, and I just rip aggro and get the boss to breathe fire on everyone. And we wiped. That was the quickest wipe we had ever had. It lasted about 10 seconds because La Vendetta screamed into my ear, "You pulled threat, you pulled threat, you pulled threat," and then we died. We died a horrible, horrible, horrible death. But I remember it. That was my fondest memory, and that was the best memory I have from vanilla. Also, beating a shaman who had Hand of Rag when I got my own Hand of Rag, because he was High Warlord, and I had all my nature resistance gear on, so I had about 400 nature resistance, and he joined my 100% club, because Mortal Strike plus Mace Stun as an arms warrior, and a shaman couldn't do anything because he was all nature damage back in vanilla, and he cried that I was hacking because I had 400 nature resistance because we were on Princess Huhuron at the time. Yes, Princess Huhuron required up to 400 nature resistance, plus I had nature resistance potions, because those were awesome back in those days, before we found out the glitch for Huhuron. But yeah, guys, let me know what your favorite experiences were from back in vanilla if you played back then, or what you're hoping that the vanilla experience will be like when they finally do release the servers. From what I hear, it might take 2 to 3 years, if not more, but they do have intentions of releasing classic servers, or a classic mode, or whatever. I hope it's classic servers that just come naturally with, everybody's paid subscription, because that, first of all, that won't lose the player base that's currently playing the current expansion, but it'll be a nice way for people who, want to see the classic experience and not deal with people on their server for a while, go to one of those servers that's just strictly classic, and there's no cross-realm, PvP, cross-realm, auction house, cross-realm talk, none of that stuff. And just wanna, talk to a bunch of people on one server, and that's it. But anyway, my name has been Shadowswolm. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to share this video if you enjoyed it, like it, subscribe. I hope to be doing more WoW content, hopefully in the future. If not, I will be doing more League of Legends content in the future. Thanks again, guys. Until next time, see ya.